If you've ever looked for a chronograph that actually adds something new to your collection, Timex may have just delivered. But this isn't just another retro reissue or some fashion-forward beater. It's a proprietary movement, flyback chrono designed in Germany. It also can track 2 time zones, and it's all for under $250. Yeah, I think this might be the most overlooked tool watch in the entire Timex catalog, and I'm about to explain to you why. Today we're reviewing the Timex Waterbury traditional flyback chronograph. It's a 43mm stainless steel pilot-inspired watch with a flyback complication, retro design cues, and a whole lot more functionality than you'd expect at this price point. Plus, it has another feature that they don't market, but we'll talk about in a little bit. If you're new here, welcome. I'm Tyree and this is Wrist Unwound, and we like to talk about where watches and stories meet. And when we break down watches, we like to use the 10S story format. So we're gonna start with the S. We're gonna talk about the specs. We're gonna talk about the strap, the shine, the sentiments. And we end it all off with a should you buy it score, so that you know if this is a watch that's worth spending your money and your time on. So let's start where we always do, with the story. You see, the Waterbury collection is a nod to Timex's roots, being founded in Waterbury, Connecticut. And this watch movement was designed very far away from there, in a place in Germany. I'll let the name be on the screen because I can't pronounce it. But this watch is something special. This isn't just a gimmick. It's really gonna be a heritage piece wrapped up in modern specs. From a company with 170 years of history, making incredible watches and incredible clocks for people all around the world. Now, this is something special in this watch that you don't see every day, especially at this price point. Now, I was gifted this watch from Timex, and it wasn't because they knew I was gonna make a video about it, it's just because I'm a huge fan. And if you wanna see my fandom, check me out on Instagram at TimexTales1854. But they're not gonna see this review before you do. And they have no say in this assessment, so everything you hear is my own thoughts about the watch, and I'm gonna keep it real. You'll see when we get to the shortcomings section later. But even before they sent me the watch, this is something that I was actually interested in adding to my collection. You see, I was really drawn to the tinted crystal, to its subdials, to the way it just kind of gives you a vintage vibe. And so in this video, we're gonna break down everything that you need to know about this watch, and we'll go ahead and start off with those specs. This is gonna be a big watch. The case is a 43mm stainless steel case. The height is gonna be 12mm with a lug width of 22mm. The movement is a quartz analog and it uses a CR 2016 battery. The water resistance is 100 meters, which is a good amount of water resistance. If you want to know more about those, I have another video, can link up here, so that you understand how water resistance works. The crystal is gonna be mineral, but it also has this incredible vintage amber tint to it that I think really gives it some extra flair. So when it comes to weight, this watch without a strap comes in around 61 grams. That's gonna be a little bit more than a tennis ball. With the strap, it comes in around 81 grams, and that's gonna be about the weight of a deck of cards. So it's not over cumbersome with the weight, but it is a little bit of heft to your wrist. And the special feature is gonna be that it's gonna be that specialized flyback chronograph. Ooh, that word's killing me. And if you're wondering, what does that flyback movement mean? It means you can reset the chrono without stopping it. That functionality we usually see in mechanical chronos probably 10 times the price, which we'll talk about a little bit later. So on paper, this watch is solid, but what does it actually look like on the wrist? So let's take a look and let's zoom in. This thing looks like it could have been an issue with a bomber jacket. It's a beautiful dial, the full Arabic numerals, retro subdials at the 4 and 10. It also has luminous hands, more on that later. Then it has this amber crystal, and it feels like it was pulled from a vintage fighter plane, you know, without the fuss. It's rugged, legible, and the case has enough polish to catch the light without being a little bit overly dressy. So when looking at similarities of this watch, I think when you want to compare this to other flyback chronographs, a couple things come to mind. The one that came to my mind first was the R1 USA Rally chronograph from Vaer. See, this one comes in at about $474. It also has a cream dial with some unique subdials. But it doesn't quite have the same dial layout or design that you find in this one. Another one that gives you a similar feel, at least with the feature standpoint, is gonna be the Longines Spirit Flyback Chronograph Automatic. See, this watch comes in a retail of $4,600, but you can sometimes find it used for closer to $3,000. And both of these watches that we're comparing it to, you'll see that there's one common trend. Even if you can get the same features, none of them have the same unique design or just aesthetic. Also, the prices are gonna be greatly different. The closest one still being a couple $100 more than the one that you see here on screen. So where it doesn't necessarily beat out these other watches in movement and material, it definitely is punching way outside of its weight class and still is gonna give you that storied execution, that brand orology that watch collectors love and respect. So let's talk about number 5, the strap. See, it comes in a double layer blue fabric strap with a slip-through design. It's comfortable, breathable, and easy to swap out. But now it's not gonna blow you away in terms of luxury, but neither do most NATO straps. Now, while this watch is comfortable, it also is tough, and I'm telling you, it's gonna be able to take whatever you're gonna throw at it. Now, we talk about things being military tough, and I would know, as a Army Ranger, someone who's jumped out of planes and spent time in Ranger school and through the field, I would tell you that this watch strap can handle anything you're gonna throw at it. Now, with that, it might take it a time to break it in to get it as soft as you want, but I promise you, no matter what you do with this strap, it's gonna work well for you. And in having that NATO-esque design, even if one of the spring bars break, which I doubt they will, the watch will stay on your wrist, which is really a great feature to have for any watch or tool that you're gonna be using out in the world. Now, I haven't really experimented with this watch yet to see if it's truly a strap monster, but a couple ideas that I think that it would look great on is probably like a leather NATO, maybe just a regular leather strap as well. I'm also thought about adding it with a zero pass, but I haven't purchased the zero pass yet. But anyway, I think this watch is gonna be a great strap monster. If you wanna see how I style it, make sure to follow me on Instagram. Links to my Instagram in the description, but that's where I post a lot of my personal photos and let you know of upcoming videos. So next up, let's get into the subdials, and this is where things get interesting. See, this isn't just a chronograph. It's got a twist that you usually don't see at this price point. And this is where the watch really earns its keep. So starting with the branding at the 12 o'clock, as we work our way around, you'll see that you have a tachometer going around the bezel. This allows you to calculate speed and other things as well. If you want to know more about tachometers, there's another video about that on the channel as well. Then there's this quirky date window at the 2:30. This isn't the most traditional spot, but it works. I also like the color match between the date wheel because it doesn't further distract you in a dial. Because this dial has a lot going on. But the more you wear it, the more you get used to it, and it actually is a lot more legible than I expected it to be once I had it on wrist. I want to highlight the fan style subdials with the retrograde hands at the 4 and the 10 o'clock. And it really does well in this layout. But that top subdial really pulls in double duty. So for your chrono, it's a minute counter. But when the chronograph is off, it actually turns into a second time zone indicator. Yes, it is a dual time flyback chrono for under $250. It's actually crazy. So if you had never used one of these before, let me explain how it works. When the chrono is not in use, it displays a time zone. And when you engage the start button, it flies back to begin tracking the time for the time function. And then once you're complete and you hit that stop button, it'll move back forward and continue to track that secondary time zone. Now, if you're looking at getting one of these watches and you're trying to figure out how to set it, it's actually pretty easy. You just ensure that the chronograph is not engaged. You pull out the crown to, the midpoint. You press the start button for each hour for the secondary time zone, reinsert the crown, and boom, you got 2 time zones and a flyback chronograph all in one watch. Next, let's talk about the shine. The case finishing, brushed and polished steel, it's nothing fancy, but it's clean and it gets the job done. That amber crystal though, that's really the highlight. It gives this whole piece this warm and nostalgic glow, like looking through like aviator glass at golden hour. The lume is decent, not outstanding, but the hands are large and easy to read. And the crown has this cool stylized W, which goes back to the Waterbury logo as well. It shows that Timex really didn't skip when they were looking at the details. Let's talk about some of the shortcomings with this watch, and let's get real for a second. Every watch has some flaws, and this one is no exception. And the first one is, this is a big watch. 43 millimeters lug to lug, might wear large for a lot of wrists. Also, there's no sapphire crystal. And though the tinted mineral glass is very charming, it's also gonna be a lot more prone to scratching. When it gets to the pushers, there's no tactile in the pushers. They're not like mushy, but they're not tactile enough to like you feel that satisfaction of the little, I don't know, maybe it's just me. But that said, you're getting a flyback chrono, second time zone for $219. Something's gotta give, and these aren't deal breakers for me. Now let's go to number 9, let's talk about some of my sentiments for this watch. Despite those flaws, there's something about this watch that really stuck with me, and I think here's why. This watch reminds me of why I really love affordable watches. Not everything has to be Swiss, or mechanical, or micro brand, or rare, or something. Sometimes you just want a watch that makes you feel, and this watch feels adventurous. It feels like flight. It feels like you can just glance down, look at it, and have a nice smile. Whether you're on a hike, whether you're in the airport, it just gives me something that I think is enjoyable, and I think it's gonna be able to take a look and keep on ticking. I think this is a watch that you could use every day. You could use it as a gata if it's your style. Is it gonna get scratched up? Maybe, but it's not so expensive that you can't enjoy the experience as well. So number 10, let's talk about the so what. What's the key takeaway? This isn't a height watch. It's a meaningful one. It's for a person, guy or gal, I see you Laura and Maxine in the comments, who wants something different. Something with a story, quirk, charm, something with some function too. I think this is a great gateway into collecting, and it's a reminder that complications don't actually have to be complicated. And a solid chronograph for under $250 is possible. So let's talk about the recommendation scale. Should you buy this watch? I give this Timex Waterbury Flyback Chronograph a 5 out of 7. That means it's a standout. It's not perfect, but it's packed with personality, surprisingly functional, and looks like a great story to tell. If I were you and you have the money to decide, I would definitely buy this watch. You don't need to sell everything yet, but if it comes up on sale, it's definitely a great deal. If this review helped you, feel free to use the affiliate links down below and you can buy the watch. It doesn't cost you anything additional, but it does help keep Bristol Unwound ticking. Like, comment, subscribe if you want more honest reviews and watch stories with meaning. And while you're here, check out one of these other videos that YouTube thinks that you'll enjoy. But for everything, there's a season, and for every watch, a story. Thanks for sharing this with me. God bless, and I'll see you next time. Peace.